Hello everybody, welcome back to the 8-Bit Tom channel. With me, video game expert Loren.
How you been, Bill?
It's been a spell, hasn't it?
Man, last time we got together, I think we recorded the mystery episode that never happened.
That's right.
But, yeah, man, it's been a hell of a bit. Hey, Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And you know what? If you guys haven't checked it out, please check out our video game war history on 8-Bit Tom and Great Canadian Hosers YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about 10 of our favorite Game Boy games. I picked 5, Loren picked 5, and we're just gonna see if they somewhat are close. Probably not.
Yeah, this is totally winging it. If we have duplicates, cool.
That'd be a surprise.
If we actually make it through the whole list with no duplicates whatsoever, we have to shotgun something.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's a chance.
There's
got different tastes.
A slight chance, Loren and I have like a 10-year gap or 5-year gap?
I think it had its place. There were some crappy ports on it.
Yeah.
There were some absolute dumper games.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so easy to it was a graveyard for
Yeah,
crap.
it was easy to program on, but the screen, holy moly, eh?
Oh, spinach green.
Yeah,
I'm looking up at the ceiling, actually, and I'm kind of getting that vibe right now.
Yeah, the ceiling's green here in the studio. Did you want to start us off with your list?
Well, I thought you want to drop the honorable mention somewhere, because
Sure.
we've got 5 each, but
Yeah.
we also have 1 just in case.
Yeah, we do.
So, my honorable mention is I don't know if you ever played Ghosts and Goblins, Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Absolutely.
This was a game for
Freaking
Game
hard
Boy
game.
where you actually got to play as the red guy. The
the
most
demon.
annoying piece of shit
The
demon.
yeah.
The Red Arimer, or what Firebrand, I think his name
I
was in the
hate that
American
guy.
one.
Stole so many quarters from me, man.
I
in
know,
the
but
arcade.
this game, you got to play as him. It was Gargoyle's Quest
That's cool.
on Game Boy. So this one came
I
out
might have heard of it.
July 1990. So it was like one of the early, not launch games, but pretty close within the year of Game Boy coming out in North America. So anything in that first year, I consider kind of that launch window.
And that has no relation to Demon Crest on Super Nintendo, does it?
100% does.
It does. Okay.
This is the first game. Demon's Crest is the third game.
Oh, I see.
And then there was Gargoyle's Quest 2 for the NES.
So this was like the prequel to the Super Nintendo game.
This was just the first game.
Okay.
Demon's Crest is like a sequel.
Oh, I see.
Kind of, or like retelling. We might get to that in the Super Nintendo list. You never know.
Is the difficulty just as bad as
It's
the original
brutal.
Nintendo?
It's brutal.
Wow.
But this game has, instead of it being like platformer only, it switches over to that top-down RPG style too.
Oh, cool. I like
And
when games do that.
you have your typical, you can jump, you can hover, you can actually cling onto cliff walls, and all of those abilities.
Kind of like Ninja Gaiden style.
Kinda. But all these abilities prolong with experience in the game. So you technically level up, and so your jump goes a little higher, your hover goes a little longer.
Okay.
Really cool shit for a Game Boy game in 1990.
Yeah, it's pretty advanced for the time.
Yeah, it wasn't just a total layup platformer, right? Capcom actually put effort into this Game Boy game, so
Cool.
That's my honorable
Yeah,
mention.
Capcom's a great game developer publisher.
Yes,
So.
and they were hitting nothing but gems out at that era, right? That
Absolutely.
1990 NES era, they were just killing it.
It was a gold mine, man.
Yeah, so that's my honorable. What about you?
My honorable mention is Super Mario Land 2. It's funny because that's such a good game. It should be just a good game, not honorable mention. But yeah, it's a good in-house Nintendo
good game.
and it's addictive.
We might talk about this game again very soon.
Okay,
Just saying. So
That's my honorable
no
mention.
shotgun.
Number 5 on my list is Ghostbusters 2 by HAL Laboratory. It's just such a fun game. You can play as either Venkman, Ray, Egon, or Winston. It has 16 levels, and it was, I think, released by Activision. You might have to get back to me on that.
Published by them?
I think
Okay.
published by Activision. Yeah, okay. And,
But HAL Labs was...
dude, they made Kirby. How...
Yeah.
And this game's just fun. You select whichever Ghostbuster you want. You have another Ghostbuster follow you around with a trap. It's kind of it has an RPG aspect to it. 16 levels. It's a good time. I would highly recommend playing it if you never got this before. This game, when it was released in the States, it had 2 different covers. The classic Ghostbuster, doing the peace sign, 2.
Yeah.
And then there was one where it was a group shot of all the Ghostbusters. So that was a little...
confusing
because I thought back then, or when I wanted to rent this game, that there was 2 Ghostbusters 2 games, but in fact it was just one. So that aside, this was a lot of fun.
I'll fully admit I know nothing about this game, because I had been burnt one too many times by Ghostbuster games.
Oh my god, on the original Nintendo, like
So
the first
make your
first shitty one.
Why is this one not shitty?
I think they released this that Ghostbusters game on like Amiga, DOS, and Genesis, and they just tried to make it as close as they could to those versions on Game Boy, and that's why it was so successful.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
I just because any like Ghostbusters 1, 2, anything that
they're
came out
awful.
on NES,
on original
even, like,
Nintendo,
especially
terrible.
the Genesis one is like maybe the only
The Genesis one's fun.
decent one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Not shitty, but yeah. So like as a guy that was just absolutely scared off the franchise because of all those shitty first, like
I don't blame you.
NES Ghostbusters is, I mean,
It's a nightmare.
that launched angry video game nerd's career. That's how
Yeah.
bad that game was. So.
What a nightmare of a game.
So that was just the whole reason that I wouldn't even go near it, right? So my number 5, and this is number 5, and I'm leaving out. I'm telling you now, there's no Tetris on my list because that's in the
we
Hall
talked
of
about
Fame.
this.
That
We
doesn't.
can't bring
it's not
up
allowed.
Tetris. Yeah, it's not allowed, man.
My number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy Legend 3 from Square Enix,
I completely forgot that they made Final Fantasy games.
which they technically weren't. They weren't Final Fantasy games. They were actually called Saga in Japan where they released over there. So Saga 1, 2, 3, and because they didn't want to take a chance, and Nintendo of America said, well, nobody knows what the fuck a Saga is, right? Because it was capital S, lower A, capital G, lower A. Like Square likes to fuck around with
pretty
naming
it up.
all their shit, right?
Yep.
They decided, you know what, we're gonna leverage your Final Fantasy name, and we're gonna call this thing the Final Fantasy Legend. So the first game came out, excellent. You're climbing a tower. It's a great game. 2, quite different, but 3 is where they nailed it. Like 3 is
So a whole trilogy on Game
it's
Boy.
a huge game.
Okay.
So the third game, like you're essentially the whole point of the game is to kill God, which is like, damn, that shit was not allowed on Nintendo back
I'm
then.
surprised that was allowed. I'm surprised Nintendo would release something with this.
Well,
with
that's
a script in a game like
they
that. Right?
definitely like America'd the fuck out of this. Like there was no reference to God whatsoever
Oh,
in
I
this. But
see. Okay.
in the Japanese script, it's literally God. Like the name of the guy is God, and you kill him. So it's pretty hardcore. It's just this like water entity from the Pure Land, and it threatens like the past, present, and the future, and
cool.
in the way that SquareSoft likes to do all that
That's
shit.
some cool mythology stuff.
Yeah. So like you're a human or a mutant. You can choose one or the other. Yes. And as you beat these enemies, like, you know, enemies like monsters can drop like tails, and like robots can drop like parts. And you can eat these parts and then evolve into other animals. Like, stop, you've heard this before, right? Like, it kind of plays like a Pokemon, right? Or like that Super Nintendo game, Robotrek.
Yeah.
Kind of plays like that.
Yeah.
So you can pick up these parts and then like evolve into like a higher version, right? So instead of being like a human or a mutant, you can be like a beast or a monster or like a cyborg or a robot.
Okay.
And like robot is like the top, right? This thing launched an entire series of video games called Saga. So there's like Romancing Saga on Super Nintendo and like the Saga Frontier on PlayStation. It's kind of in limbo now, but there's a huge fan base behind this thing, and it all spawned from these games. Okay, my number 4. I guarantee this is not on your list.
All right.
Like, I guarantee this is on nobody's list, but Donkey Kong for Game Boy.
Why would you pick Donkey Kong?
So everybody's like
the
picturing
Nintendo
Donkey
port?
Kong right now. That's like only 3 levels, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
it just
exactly
repeats and repeats with the dam, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
No, this one has 101 levels,
Holy crap.
and it like progresses. Like it never repeats.
Really?
So you get to the 101. Actually, I couldn't guarantee that because I never got to 101.
Okay.
But it was always different levels, and like this game essentially launched the what's the series called again? Mario versus Donkey Kong. Like that whole series
okay.
spawns from this game.
Okay.
So
Wait, what
it's
year was
got
this
teeth.
released?
This was like 1994.
Oh,
1994.
okay.
Excellent, like arcade style, just excellent.
Don't think I
And
ever
it-
rented it.
Perfectly fit on the handheld.
So released in-house by Nintendo?
Yes,
Okay.
but I think it was Nintendo E80 actually. So
Oh, interesting.
like the big
Electronic Arts before they were EA.
No. Like Nintendo EAD was like their
Oh, I see. Okay.
entertainment analysis division or something like that. Because there was like Nintendo R&D 1, R&D 4, and then EAD was like they put out like all the Mario Golfs and stuff like that.
Oh,
too.
I love those games.
But this was killer game.
No, that's definitely not on my list.
It's a shame.
Do you want to hear my number 4?
Yes, I do.
Pokemon Red.
Okay.
And I kind of got a bit of information on it, but this must be the Japanese release because I wrote down 1996.
Yes, because it was sometime in '98 here.
Okay. So then my sister played with the cards, right? I never got into the cards. But when the game was released and I still had a Game Boy, I bought it and I put it in. And you know what? This is an awesome game. Like, I thought I was out of Game Boy. And then this game was released and I kept fucking playing Game Boy.
That's a lot of people repeat that sentiment.
It's
that
insane.
They were
It's made
done
by,
with it. It
Game
sat in
Freak.
a shelf somewhere. They had
Released in-house by Nintendo. Junichi Masuda, like, the composer and one of the programmers, he just nailed this one. Like, the music's so memorable. The gameplay's fantastic, and it spawned dozens of games and variations and updates. It's insane how big of a powerhouse this game would become in the future.
I can fully admit that I missed a boat big on
I
this,
almost
right?
missed it, too.
Like
I was damn close, man.
I'm not like you know, the people that are like, I have never seen a minute of Game of Thrones, and I never It's not that case with me, okay? It just missed me, and like as like you're talking about the music, like I even recognize songs from Pokemon, and I've never played the game.
You could have never
before.
played the game, and you would just know what it is.
Like
by
some
listening
little
to the
fucking
music.
thing darting out of the grass, and I immediately, you know,
The ringtone everyone has.
yeah, like
totally.
I know immediately what that's from, right? So all the music just immediately like pops to me. So I get it.
Okay, so 3 for me, it's actually 2 games. But I figured I would cheat and pool them as one.
Okay.
Operation C and Contra the Alien Wars.
Okay.
Awesome. Operation C released in 91 by Ultra Games, still Konami.
Yeah.
They released it as Ultra Games. That was a way for them to get around so they could release more titles and not have to pay for...
Well, no, Nintendo only allowed you to release 5 games per year. That was their quality seal of approval.
That's
you know?
right.
Now,
And,
if you could open up 2 development companies though and have 10 games per year.
there you go.
So that's
So
how they
it's
got
a good
around
way around. And Operation C is awesome. It's literally Super C and Contra for the Nintendo, but on Game Boy. They use some of the same music, some of the same levels. There's some new levels, but you're kind of literally playing the portable version of the 2 games for Nintendo. The music's great. Contra the Alien Wars, this time around it was released by Factor 5, which I found that odd. It was still
Whoa,
made by...
really? Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Weird.
Yeah, that's a legit dev house.
Then also remember, when you play this game, you don't want to play on easy mode because it stops you at stage 3. So you would have done all that work, and you're like, oh, where's the other levels?
You don't even get to finish the game.
Exactly. So don't.
And
pick
even
easy
worse,
mode.
you get like the handheld ending.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess because that's
Play on a harder difficulty, idiot.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good game. The second one was good. They removed several of the bosses and mini bosses because they tried to do a port from Contra 3 for Super Nintendo to the Game Boy, and it was quite successful. I loved playing these games. Sadly enough, it's only one player.
Yep.
But it is what it is. That's my number 3. I love those games, and the music's great.
No, that's fair. My number 3 was your honorable mention. Yes, so it was Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Came out like just before Christmas '92, so that'd be 2.5 years into Game Boy. So, like everybody else, I had Tetris, right? In the box when I got it for my birthday, right? In '89, and the first game I bought was Mario Land 1.
A great game.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
For the Game Boy,
Yeah.
Yeah. If you played, at the time, if you played Super Mario Brothers, or if you overlapped a bit here, you could play Mario 2.
Yeah.
And then went and played Mario on Game Boy. You're like,
Yeah.
At least it's Mario in a car ride. Okay, good enough. But then this came out. It improved over the first game every single
it was like a total
fucking
different
way.
game.
Like, you know how the improvement from, and man, I'll shit on this now and everybody can fuck off. Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, first game.
Oh, I love the first one.
Okay, first game's excellent.
The
yeah.
second one was
First
far
game's
superior.
fucking unplayable as soon as you play the second one,
Mhm.
right? It's even
The
more
dash
so.
just changes everything.
Well, yeah, spin dash
Spin
absolutely
dash, man.
makes the first game unplayable.
Yeah.
There's even more in Mario Land 2 that makes Mario Land 1 unplayable.
Yeah.
Like,
Once you play the second one, you
at
never
it
really
like
went
you
back.
fucking Atari game. Like, it's so unplayable after playing the second one.
Yeah, I agree.
The sprites, massive
so
compared to
such a pretty game.
like small Mario in the first game is smaller than a fucking coin. Like, you can't see him, right? But I mean,
the bombs just look like raisins on the freaking screen or some shit.
the soundtrack is fucking legendary. Like, it's memorable.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm gonna cue it in while we talk about
It's
this
just the
game
main theme is just like the main overworld theme is just like so happy. Like, that's why when they put it in Super Mario Maker 2 that you can be like Mario Land Mario, that's the song that they put in. So
Heck yeah.
I honestly, I don't know. I just in like 6 areas that was big for Game Boy game. Like 6
maps.
seemed to be the magic number. Like almost every damn game for Game Boy had like 6 areas.
Yeah.
And it was good enough for me. That means I got a new number 2, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, just like you had Contra, which is an excellent NES port to Game Boy,
Hell yeah.
I have arguably the best port ever on a Game Boy. That was Bionic Commando.
Oh, that's an awesome game.
Bionic Commando on NES was like, fuck, I still play it, actually.
I love the tunes.
My
from
nephew
the game.
hates it. Cannot stand. You know, apparently Tim Fallon was involved
Really?
in Bionic Commando. He has no credits, but apparently
What did he do?
music.
How
Like,
did he get
Tim Fallon is
How did he? I know, but how did he
the
not get any credit
greatest.
for it?
I know, right? So
What the hell? It's such a memorable soundtrack. It's like, if you never played Bionic Commando, literally go on YouTube and look up the OST. It's actually like
It's
really well
outstanding.
written, man.
but also play the fucking game.
Play the game. Oh yeah,
But
ahead of its time.
It was playable,
Lots
very
of levels.
playable, and identical on Game Boy.
Yeah.
Except it was black and white, right?
Crap
so
ton of
spinach.
levels.
Yeah, but this game, fuck, just so good.
Yeah,
man.
the replayability is through the roof.
There's like the 2 styles of levels, so you have like your normal run and gun, but we haven't even said like the best. So anybody that has never played Bionic Commando, you cannot jump in the game.
No, you gotta use your
you have
bionic
this
arm.
like bionic arm that you can grapple onto shit, and you can go straight up. You can like swing
Sideways,
multiple
swing.
times, but
Yeah,
like
Tarzan.
but then eventually go up,
Yep.
or you can just hold right or left and just swing and let go,
Heck
and
yeah.
that's your jump. But once you're in the air, you're fucked. Like, you have no control, and you're just like, I hope I land where I need to land, right? But and I mean, that's frustrating, but it's also
That's part of the game. Like
it's
that's
the
what makes it
excellent
fun.
part of that game, right?
Yeah.
So
It's the risk factor.
just everything about that game, man, I love. And then like the 2 different
good
styles.
pick.
You have the platformer, and then you go into like the other, like the town levels. And in the town levels, you have to like look for like a radio communication, like wiretap kind of thing, so that you
There's
can.
like a strategy to it.
Yeah, because you're like listening in on the enemy and trying to get like the information of where Super Joe is being hidden, right? Because he's captive. Super Joe.
Dumb name.
I love it, man. I fucking love that game. And then there's a third kind of level where the enemy trucks are moving along the lines.
That's right.
And you can only move along the map on the lines, right? And then if you hit a truck, then you go into a top-down view level where you have to run around and shoot guys and like get to the end of the level, and that's how you earn your continues.
Yeah.
Which is extremely important the first time you go to beat this game, because you're gonna need them.
You need all of them.
And then like it's all at the end of the game you are killing Hitler. But
Yeah.
in our Nintendoized version, it was Master D, I think is his name.
Yeah.
So highly recommend that game.
Desert Strike, awesome game on Game Boy. It's almost like a perfect recreation of the Super Nintendo release, other than it's green. The explosion effects aren't all there. The soundtrack leaves something to be desired, but you gotta hear the chopper go the entire game, get used to it. They didn't really leave a lot of things out of this. It's really close to the Super Nintendo version, and I love the Super Nintendo version. I played Desert Strike on Super Nintendo for hundreds of hours, so just the fact of having it on Game Boy and playing on the run, that was really cool. So that would be my number 2, is Desert Strike.
Wicked. Before we do one, I know there's going to be, well, actually it could be your number 1, so no, you should do your number 1.
Okay, well,
I don't want to ruin that.
my number 1 is Double Dragon 2.
Okay.
On Game Boy. It was made by Technos, released by Activision. The composer, Kazuo Osawa, is fantastic in this. It's almost like playing the Nintendo version. It's still 3 missions across 10 stages. Like some other games for Game Boy, don't select easy mode because it'll only allow you to play mission once. So you'll do like half of the stages and then it'll be like, try a harder difficulty, moron, right? This one, you could even system link and play with your friend, which was awesome to do because it was such a well-done game. You wanted to play with a friend.
Yeah.
So that's my number 1 is Double Dragon 2.
I'm going to throw a quick disclaimer for everyone. So clearly we both left out Donkey Kong
And Zelda.
Country or whatever, and Zelda.
And Yoshi's Cookies. We're not going to include the big ones.
Everybody knows that Link's Awakening is arguably one of the greatest games on Game Boy, period. Game Boy Color, whichever one you want to call it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's just not on our list because whatever, it isn't. Get over it, I guess. But it's also, these were games that we thought, like must-play games that maybe people didn't hear about. This one, though, I'm pretty sure everyone heard about. So my number 1, I think I put more hours into this game than all the other ones combined, is Final Fantasy from Square. Came out in November 91, so easily my favorite game on the Game Boy. Over top of Zelda, over top of anything. Over top of Killer Instinct. All of it. And it was because, to me, it was a Zelda game done right. There was 8 different weapons. Each weapon had an actual use on the overlay, not just killing enemies, but the sickle could remove all the grass, and then you could find enemies or gold or something under the grass, right? Or the whip could shoot across the screen, and then you could grab the post and then rip yourself over a chasm or something to get to the other side of the map. Everything had a use in the world. And then there was a real RPG element to it. You leveled up, and then you chose what did you want to put your point into. Strength, HP, magic, or I think they called it wisdom or intelligence. And then wisdom was this special bar that was on the bottom of the screen, and as it built up, you did a special attack. And if this game's sounding familiar, it's because it's called Seiken Densetsu 1 in Japan, which is the Legend of the Holy Sword or something. But we renamed the second one Secret of Mana. So it's Secret of Mana in North America. Yeah. So this is essentially Secret of Mana prequel, right? We called it, when it got re-released, they called it Sword of Mana instead of Final Fantasy Adventure. Another example of milking the fuck out of a name, right? So, I'm shocked there wasn't, Final Fantasy Calculator and shit like that being released at the time, because they were leveraging the shit out of that name.
Okay.
But everything about this game, the story is out there, but, I mean, your mom's a tree, and you're, and you're this, gladiator that's locked up, and you're fighting for other people's entertainment, and you escape. And you see the Dark Lord, and you try to escape, and he pushes you down this waterfall, and you survive it. And then your whole quest at that point is to stop the Dark Lord, because he's going up there to take over the Mana Tree essentially. So
I never played it. Sounds good though.
I couldn't recommend the game higher than this. Plus, throughout the game, you pick up these companions. The red wizard and the girl. The girl will randomly heal you, but you can ask for help, and they'll the red mage will shoot a fireball across the screen and he'll randomly do it too. The girl will just randomly heal you, which it comes in massively handy at the end when you're fighting Julius and all those guys, right? The game is way too good of a handheld game. It could have been a console game, and that was always the measure for me, because I always preferred console over handheld. But
yeah, me too.
But
easier on the
Every
eyes.
now and then there's a game like this that completely changed it. Like I had a Super Nintendo sitting right there, and I was playing this damn game on a fucking green screen, right? Like
2 inch by 2 inch or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
and like brutal, like no backlight, no nothing,
Nothing.
brutal. But I still loved it, man. This was arguably my favorite game on the Game Boy.
Well, that's interesting. Game Boy, totally different lists, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks for checking out our Game Boy Top 5 list. If there's some games that you don't agree with, please let us know in the comment.